Hello and welcome to E-Train Talks, fellow book lovers. I'm your host, E-Train, and today's interview is an incredibly special and important one. Book banning has been on a devastating rise in the United States, and stories featuring diverse characters, whether Black, LGBTQ+, or Asian American, are being taken off the shelves at an increasing rate. However, there are people fighting for the freedom to read, people using their voices for good, and one of the biggest advocates of literacy and freedom is here with me today. She is a school librarian who's faced enormous controversy just for speaking up against censorship, and she's advocated for kids to have the freedom and right to access books. Sitting across from me virtually today is a true library hero. And if you're in the book world, you know who she is. And if you're not, then allow me to introduce the amazing, the one and only librarian, author of That Librarian, Amanda Jones. Thanks so much for being here today, Amanda.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm a big fan of yours, so I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you. And I'm a huge fan of yours. I'm over the moon that you're taking time out of your day to speak with me because, for those of you who don't know, Amanda recently authored a memoir about her experiences. And she's had to come face to face with hate and censorship, cruelty, and even death threats. But she stands strong because she believes in the power of stories and that children should have access to books, access to diverse material in libraries, whether school libraries or public libraries. And if you ever wondered if superheroes really exist, then the answer is sitting right across from me. But enough from me. It's time to get into the first question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Woo. So you created a gripping memoir, That Librarian, as a rallying cry to fight book banning and to shine a light on the hate that you and many of the librarians have sadly received. However, I would like to start off this interview with a simpler question, one that will hopefully kick off our discussion with a bit of joy. What inspired your path to become a school librarian in the first place?
Well, I love to read. I absolutely love to read all the time. My mother is a retired kindergarten teacher, and we used to go to the public library every single week. She would read to me every night. Going to, before we went to bed every night, she'd read to myself and my two siblings. And I was in college to be an elementary educator. And while I was there, I just got renewed, got back into reading because, when you're in high school and college, you get busy with jobs and school and all of
Right.
that. But I got back into reading when the first Harry Potter books came out, and
Mm.
I zipped through those, and it reignited that passion. And I knew that I wanted to help kids find books that they could be passionate about too. So that's how I began my path to school librarianship.
I love it. And school librarians are true heroes in the fact that they help kids discover the books that are right for them because it might not feel like it for some kids, but there is always a book out, the right book for the right person. Well, and some kids might have the same book that really connects with them. So your work as a school librarian and all school librarians is so impactful and it's kind of unsung, but we all feel it in our hearts as kids. And as a middle school librarian of over 20 years, you have probably given countless phenomenal book recommendations, which may have inspired kids to make a difference. So, on that note, with the book banning on the rise in our country, what is your message to kids who may be nervous to or may not know how to stand up and use their voice for good?
Well, first of all, I think it is, even for adults, it is very hard to go speak out, you know?
Right.
So kids also, kids, adults alike, it's hard to speak out. Do
Definitely.
whatever you feel is comfortable. Not speaking out for libraries doesn't necessarily mean going to a meeting and actually speaking out. You can write letters to your school board, to your library boards, to your legislators. You can write letters to your librarians and encourage them. But what I always like to recommend to students is there is a group called DALO in South Carolina, and they're a student-led group that are fighting book bans, and
That's
they
amazing.
offer some really great tips on preparing and getting ready. So I always tell everybody go check out their social media, and it's really important to make sure you have a trusted adult, a parent or guardian, or someone to go with you if you do choose to speak out, just to make sure you're protected and safe.
Absolutely, because there are some pretty mean trolls out there who can go after people just for speaking up, and sometimes they don't care if it's a kid or an adult. So have your trusted adults with you, have your parents with you, have your legal guardian with you, so they can protect you and keep you safe. And whether you use your voice or not, just the idea of even thinking about it and having the courage to even think freely and think free thoughts about freedom is so important. A lot of freedom that I said in that sentence. I said free a lot, but it's all about that when it comes to fighting book banning. And I also read that you were recently featured in a documentary film that premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in Utah called The Librarians. Firstly, this must have been a very exciting event. This must have been so special for you to be able to share your story with fellow librarians who were fighting censorship and just being there for your students, because that's what you do on a daily basis. So, will you share what the movie discusses and how this incredible opportunity came about?
Yes, so the film is, by Kim A. Snyder is the director, and Janique Robillard is one of the producers, Sarah Jessica Parker is one of the producers, and I was asked about a year and a half ago if I would be part of the documentary. It's been filmed for 3 years, so it started as a documentary just in Texas, about Texas librarians, but director Kim, A. Snyder realized that it was something happening all across the United States, and so she expanded it to cover. There are those of us, there are librarians in it, but not just librarians. There are students that are talking, that they show students speaking out, parents, community members, authors speaking out. But it was so special to me because the librarians that are featured in the documentary, there's probably 9, 10, 11 of us. I'm friends with almost all of them. So to share this experience with them, because I know how hard they are fighting, and librarians all across the United States are fighting for the freedom to read, and to just be a part of this. It's so beautifully done. I cannot wait for everyone to see it. Um,
Ooh.
I know it's so beautifully done, and it basically it maps the book banning and censorship attempts all across the United States, and it merges historical um, video clips from news, historical clips, scenes from the Twilight Zone, edited to show to counter to what's happening right now, and it takes us along several librarians' personal journeys, school board fiascos, author
Right.
lawsuits, things like that, so seamlessly. It's very well done, very, very well done. And I think it's going to help a lot of people across the United States realize just what's happening.
Yeah, it's so crucial to have these resources like the documentary that we'll be releasing soon, so people can really see the behind the scenes and all the tragic events that are happening, but also those that are fighting to uplift voices and uplift stories. And I'm pretty young, so I don't know the full extent of Sarah Jessica Parker's work, but my mom does, and she was very excited when she heard she was a producer. So, I mean, this is a question for my mom and also for all the people out there who are fans of her. What was it like meeting Sarah Jessica Parker? And can you share where others can find and watch the film once it's released?
Yes. So I've met Sarah Jessica Parker a couple of times now. And the very first time I met her was this past summer. And as someone who grew up on her movies, I grew up watching her movies. Um, in fact, I told her we had this VHS, or VCRs, or what we watched movies on when I was growing up. And one of the films we had was Girls Just Want to Have Fun. And so I
Mm.
cried when I was like, you don't understand. I watched that movie so many times growing up. But Sarah Jessica Parker actually has her own book imprint,
Oh,
and
wow.
she has her own book imprint company, and she's one of 8 children, and she said libraries saved her. She grew up in libraries. She said, as a family, a large family, they didn't have a lot of money, so the library was everything to her and her family. So to get to meet someone that I've always admired my whole life, and to find out that they're a library lover like me, and she's invested into books in this documentary. She was the kindest human. She's everything and more. So I'm so excited. They just finished making it 5 days before Sundance.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so it's gonna be on the film festival circuit for the next few months, and then the, Kim Snyder is partnering with PEN America,
Well,
and they're
that's
gonna do
amazing.
several. Yeah, PEN America, great, and they're gonna do several, screenings across the United States, so be looking for announcements. They're gonna do as many screenings across the US as possible, but in the fall, it will be premiering on PBS and then streaming platforms, I think around October.
I'm super excited to watch. And, you've been called a hero by, of course, me and also so many people in the book world and beyond. I mean, Oprah Winfrey shouted you out at a book festival. And there have been award-winning authors like Ann Patchett and New York Times opinion columnist Margaret Rankle, and so many more. And, Margaret wrote a really interesting essay on you that I came across while researching for our talk. And something that really struck me, besides all the abuse and harassment that you sadly had to go through, which makes me so angry, so fed up with all that sort of stuff because you deserve all the love in the world for all the work that you do. But what really caught my attention was what she said that when she wrote that you have argued passionately that the library should not be a political arena, and that your fight has not been because you want to make a name for yourself in the political arena, but that you're fighting this fight for the kids, fighting this fight for the children who deserve to see themselves in the stories that they read. And that's so powerful to me. So will you please share more about why you're fighting this fight and also who or what you're ultimately fighting for?
I'm ultimately fighting for everybody. It's like so, everybody that lives in our country should have the right to um, see themselves on the books on the everybody's taxpayer.
Right.
Whether it's even some people say, "Well, kids aren't taxpayers." Y'all spend money at the store. There's there's taxes. You pay taxes. Your families, your parents, your legal guardians pay taxes. I always go back to the quote by Dr. Rudine Sims Bishop that books can be windows, mirrors, and sliding glass doors.
Yes.
And I feel so strongly that everybody deserves not only to see themselves, but to learn about other people. And I think about growing up, if my high school librarian, Dr. Shirley McDonald, hadn't introduced me to books like The Color Purple by Alice Walker, or Amy Tan's The Joy Luck Club, or The Bone Setter's Daughter, or Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye, I don't think I would be the person I am today. Books have the ability to shape us as human beings. They create a more empathetic world. We learn about other people, other places, people from all walks of life that maybe we don't grow up around. I grew up in a very small town in Louisiana that was not very diverse. So books were how I learned about other cultures, religions, people. But books do save lives. This is my 24th year in education, and I have taught so many students that are now adults in their late 20s, early 30s who have contacted me and say, Miss Jones, you taught us this book, or you gave me this book, and it shaped the way I am, and it changed my life. And I've even had former students that are now in their 30s say, you gave me this title on a day that I was thinking about taking my own life, and I
Oh,
didn't.
wow.
So books do save lives. So I'm fighting for the right of every student, every patron of a library to be able to read freely in our public and school libraries.
That is so important. And I think what you shared about how books shape us, that is so, so true. And I feel like when you think about authors and when you think about humans, you think of us as architects, that we shape society. But in reality, books like The Color Purple or books like The Bluest Eye, they shape us. They are really the architects, and we are built. Our emotions and what we feel is kind of based off of the characters that we read in our stories because they always stay with us. For those who are not familiar with your fight, and specifically your case, and I mean, for kids tuning in, or even adults who are unfamiliar with your specific case and the legal process that's regarding it, will you please speak to how this is a win for you and librarians as a whole?
So I'm in several lawsuits, but my original case, I was targeted by an extremist group and some local people in my community when I went to the public library. So I'm a school librarian, but I went to the public library as a resident, a 44-year resident of my community. And I gave a speech about censorship. And I became the target of extremists. And they were posting horrible things, saying I was doing horrible things to children, advocating for horrible things for children, giving kids inappropriate books that I've never done before, these horrible things. And I was called horrible names all over the internet. I'm called names in person in my community. And I decided I had enough. I decided to fight back. So I am in a lawsuit. It's been 2.5 years. It's a defamation lawsuit. So basically, I got tired of seeing librarians and educators all across the US being called these horrible names for standing up for intellectual freedom. And because I do have a platform and I do have privilege, I decided to file a lawsuit. So that is what it is. It's a defamation case against a few individuals. And the courts dismissed it and said, "Oh, that's their opinion that you do these horrible things." And I said, "No, that's not right.
Mhm.
That's not
Right.
right. I'm not going to stand for that." And so it eventually worked its way up to the Louisiana Supreme Court, and I had a victory in the Louisiana Supreme Court, still just for the right to have a trial. So we still haven't had the trial yet. So
Mm.
hopefully soon I will get to bring these men in front of a jury of my peers. But it's important because it will set a precedent to people in the United States that it is not acceptable to harass librarians and educators or anyone who speaks out against intellectual freedom and make up falsehoods against those of us that do. So that's why I'm fighting in the court system um, to try to help not just myself but everybody.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, I mean, Amanda Jones isn't really asking for much in terms of the defamation lawsuit. It says in the writing that you're actually looking for $1 and an apology. But it's not just the apology and the dollar you're looking for. You're really looking for an end to all the hate that's being spread towards librarians. And so, while in the writing, it looks like you just want $1 and an apology. In reality, what you're doing is you're setting a precedent, like you said. And I mean, I'm a kid saying this, but I'm so proud of you, Amanda Jones. You are a hero, and what you're doing is so, so important.
Thank you. I just think everyone should do the right thing.
Absolutely.
And I'm just doing what my parents raised me to do, and that is to speak up and speak out and stick up for myself. And I do hope I can set a precedent for other educators and librarians to maybe, at least, if not to end the hate, give people that are causing it pause before they do these things that are so harmful to those of us standing up for intellectual freedom.
100%. And while doing research for our talk, I discovered that you're also a founding member of the organization Louisiana Citizens Against Censorship. So, can you please share what this group does and how people who aren't librarians but still book lovers can move mountains and stop censorship?
Yes, I am so fortunate to be a founding member. Our executive director, Lynette Mejia, um, is really the brains and the power behind it. But I do everything I can to help her and our other founding member, Melanie Brevis. Um, Basically, what we do, they are two women that are from a neighboring community, and we have joined forces with several communities that are seeing attacks from extremist groups on our libraries in Louisiana. And we joined forces together. We have an executive board, and we help build alliances in different communities that are facing censorship. And we teach them the steps of how to build an alliance, a coalition, how to speak out, how to talking points on what to say, how to find help, how to kind of rally the troops and have a social media presence to get the word out. But also, what we do is we've banded together to help fight anti-library legislation in Louisiana, and we did last year. We defeated 8 of the 9 anti-library bills in the
Woo!
Louisiana legislature. I know we were so excited, and basically, what we do is we help people find their voice. A lot of people are scared to go speak at the legislature. We will give one-on-one help or give them talking points, show them. Some people didn't even know that you could go speak at the Capitol. So
Mm,
we teach them how to speak, what to do, what to say. Come sit with us. You don't have to be alone in this fight. But if they can't do that, how to send emails. And together across the whole state, we sent 44,000 emails to the legislature
wow.
last year. So I'm so proud to be a part of this organization. And we do have a website. Louisiana Citizens Against Censorship. We do have a website. We have a newsletter. So anybody out there that's looking to do this in their own communities or their own states, look at our website. We have tons of tips and resources.
Yeah, and it's one thing to have an idea in your mind that you want to go out and make a difference, but it's another thing knowing the right words to say, knowing how to act, body language, and in order to kind of prove that you're professional and you're also ready and capable and confident. So the things and the resources that Louisiana Citizens Against Censorship have for everybody watching, whether you're a kid or an adult, look at their website, look at their newsletters. It's so important because you need people to take you seriously. It's one thing to have an idea, it's another to actually go out there and contribute to the world, to actually make a difference and use your voice in a positive, confident manner. So check out their work, it's amazing. And the movement to ban stories has been underway for quite some time. It's even gone back, some people might trace it back to Nazi Germany, but it's even gone farther than that. So, under the new presidential administration, there's been research done, and it shows that there has been a barrage of book bans on the federal level and local levels, according to PEN America. So, have you personally seen more books being taken off the shelves in your state specifically? And also, can you share stories of what other librarians and school librarians are experiencing, the circumstances that they face if they do display banned or questionable books?
So we have seen there's a big push in Louisiana to ban and censor books. Fortunately, we have some really good fighters in Louisiana, and we haven't had too many. permanently banned.
That's good.
We were very lucky to also have the two-lane First Amendment law clinic in Louisiana that will send letters and help um, show library boards of control and school boards, remind them of the laws and the court precedents and things like that. But we have had a lot of books that have been um, relocated from the children's section to the adult section, even though they were written for children. Um, we have um, we've had a lot of what do you call it? Mass challenges where people will challenge 200 at a time, and it
Oh wow.
causes a lot of 200. We have this community called St. Tammany Parish here, saw over 200 mass challenges, and they put those books behind the desk, and we're not allowing them to be on the shelves. Um, and they're still working through that list. So we're seeing that. Other states, though, we're seeing a lot more nefarious actions. I mean, it's bad in Louisiana, but if you look at states like Utah, the last time I checked, this was like a week ago, they have permanently banned 15 books in schools across the state. Texas had the Kraus list, which was a list of 850 books that needed to be removed from the shelves. Books that were written, a lot of them written for children, nothing inappropriate about them. We're seeing, I know librarians, I can name a librarian in almost every state that has been personally attacked. I have friends that have been fired from their jobs because their community complained that their book displays were too diverse. That really happened. I've seen librarian. I have a librarian friend in Florida that she questioned why she was being made to remove books from her shelf without following the policy. She was taken out of her job. So these are things that are happening all across the United States, and it's horrific. You get punished for speaking out.
It's so heartbreaking. And you know, some people say, I wish there's something we could do, but there is something you can do. So go out there, send letters to your legislators, write emails, speak up, because we can really make a difference in this fight. We can actually win this fight. Might seem pretty daunting, it might seem scary, but we can do this. And my heart hurts for those who have lost their jobs just because they have diverse books on display. I mean, that just sounds so arbitrary to say that, oh, you have too many diverse books on your selection. That's just outrageous. And it's so hard to believe, but in this state of our world, in this state of our country even, it's what's happening. So, gotta do something about it. And my next question for you is, since we are on the topic of book bans, I'm sure that you care about and advocate for all diverse books to be kept on the shelves. But are there any particular books, picture books, middle grade books, or otherwise, that really hurt your heart even more when you see people fighting to erase them from libraries and classrooms? So I guess my question for you is, what are your favorite diverse books that are being questioned or banned?
So I have a soft spot for In Tango Makes Three.
Yeah, I love it.
Um, I love that book, and I'm so glad to see the authors are fighting back in Florida, in a lawsuit, and I've actually become friends with the authors, through this work. But other books like All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson, which is, a high school book, but it's
Right.
very important. I Am Not Your Mexican Daughter by Erica Sanchez, The Kite Runner, even books like Pride Puppy or Kitty Corn by Shannon Hale has been
Yeah.
banned in some places, and but I'll go back to again The Color Purple or The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. Books that have been around for decades are being banned. Books like The Kite Runner, um, are being banned, and those books, while sometimes they do have tough topics, and books that have tough topics like that, that are written for teens, they're never found in an elementary,
Right.
school library.
Absolutely.
They're found for older teens. But I think it's so important to understand different things that are happening in our world and to people. And some of these things have happened to students, and they need to read about them to help learn and grow. But um, I couldn't. I tried to think of like I couldn't go on and on forever, but I
Mm.
really, I really do have a soft spot for Nintendo Mix 3.
It's one of my favorites as well. And
Mhm.
I want to go back quickly to what you said about how there are no high school books in elementary school libraries because I mean, it's just so true. Librarians have policies for that. It's not like somebody who's banning books or trying to ban books is like, "Oh, there's no policy. I'm the one in charge. I'm actually saving kids." it's something that never happens. And if it does, it's like on like a 0.0001% chance. There's no chance. So it's just, I mean, I don't understand it. I don't understand why people are making these assumptions. I mean, I understand some people just want to kind of cause trouble, or somebody might think they're doing a good thing, but in the in actuality, it's completely the opposite. It's a terrible thing. It just makes me like I want to channel these emotions that I'm feeling. I want to channel. You should all do this as well. Channel them and go out and do good. And it's like you can have all these bottled up emotions, but don't keep them bottled inside. Use your voice, use your words, and make a difference because it just feels so wild, so crazy that in the United States of America, we have to have these sort of conversations. And we can do something about it. I mean, I've said it once, I've said it twice, I'll say it again. We can do it. And now moving back towards That Librarian, which is your memoir. I hit my microphone. Oopsie. Are you okay? You're okay, microphone? All right. So many people write memoirs about their lives when they're older and their journey may be coming to a close, while others, like I imagine yourself, write their story to reflect on significant life experiences. And your life, your journey, your story is still being told. It's still being written in the history books. It's still going on. I mean, you're still here. You're talking to me today. So that librarian is still with your life experience as a librarian and how this journey has taken on significant twists and turns you could have never imagined. And can we expect more stories from you in the future, updating us about your career and as a prominent advocate for librarians and books and freedom to read? Or also, will you just write maybe fictional books maybe in the future?
Well, I wish I had the gift of writing fictional, like, I wish I had that gift. I do not think I have the that's a truly that's an art to be able to write fiction, that I do not think I have, I'm being honest, but I am writing an afterword to add to the paperback edition of the book when it comes out in
Oh,
September.
awesome.
Yeah, and I've started, channeling my writing into some essays and op-eds. So because I consider myself a reader, not a writer. I was presented an opportunity to write this book, and I was not gonna pass it up, but I
Yeah,
think I'm more of a reader, not a writer, but I do have some essays planned. I did get to write an essay for Time Magazine that I was very excited about,
yeah.
and I have some more of those planned, for journals and magazines. I'm not gonna say never, maybe I will write another book, but it's not in the works right now.
Maybe one day, or maybe you just continue with your school librarianship. Whatever works for you and whatever makes you happy, that makes all of us happy. So, my next question for you is a bit more about your story, a bit more about the recognition that you've received. So, since you've shared your story, a lot has happened for you. Your book became a national bestseller. You've been recognized in your life with the American Association of School Librarians Intellectual Freedom Award and the American Library Association's Paul Howard Award for Courage, and countless other awards. You've been praised by Oprah Winfrey, been involved in documentary. You've done so many incredible things. That's a lot, and I don't know how you have time to sleep or how you have time to write a book like that, Librarian. So, how have you processed all of this recognition, and how is becoming even more recognizable as an anti censorship advocate affected your life?
Well, there's the harassment that I
Yeah.
received for speaking out, and that's continued to happen for 2.5 years. But I choose to focus on the good, and I always advocate for therapy.
Mm,
I tell people you have a lot of emotions you need to process. So whether you have big life event like I've had, I always advocate for everyone to be in some form of therapy or to talk to someone. If you're, a student, maybe talk to a trusted adult, a family member, or something. Um, a lot of therapy, a lot of me time, reading, and I personally like to go get massages and go get my hair done to relax and process. But I it's been a lot, and I've been to 30 different states over the past year with touring
cool.
with the book and things like that. Um, and I am very tired a lot. I am still a full-time school librarian, and I am tired. It's hard to juggle all of these things, but I think it's very important to speak out, and right now, I think my voice is needed, so I'm gonna continue to speak out and travel and do what I can, even though I am tired, and hopefully in a few years, it dies down and we stop this. Um, but it's been a whirlwind. I had a lot of opportunities, so while there has been things like death threats and harassment, there's been a lot of good. I got to meet Judy Bloom.
That's
Um,
amazing.
Judy Blume, I grew up reading her stories. I've got to meet George M. Johnson, who wrote All Boys Aren't Blue. I've gotten to meet Sarah Jessica Parker. I've gotten to meet Amy Tan, who I, mentioned earlier, the Joy Luck Club and the Bonesetter's Daughter in all of her books. Um, I think that was a highlight. I got to, I used to be an English language arts teacher before I was a school librarian, and I would teach some of her short stories to my students. So I got to, when I meet her and tell her how I used to teach her stories to my kids. And um, so there's been some positive experiences, and I just keep moving forward, and we'll just see
Yeah.
where this road takes me.
I know that over the past few years, a lot of attention has been given to you about your experiences with hate and reading discrimination and your activism. But I would like to take a moment and talk to you as just a school librarian, as a kid to a school librarian, someone who has devoted your life many years, 23 years in fact, to spreading book joy. My question to you is that through everything you've been through, would you do it all over again? And would you choose to be a school librarian all over again?
Absolutely. I think being a school librarian is the best job in the world, next to being a teacher, educator, or an author. That's also pretty great. But I think a school librarian, we have the unique opportunity as school librarians. We work with every kid in the whole school. So
Mm,
it's not like when I was a teacher, I just worked with a small portion of the students at our school. But being a school librarian, not only do I get to work with every kid in the whole school, but I get to work with every faculty member on
mm,
campus, and I can offer kids a safe space in the school. My goal is to make the library the heart of the school and make sure everyone feels safe and loved and protected. And so, yes, I would continue. I would do it all over again. No amount of hate or vitriol from anyone would ever make me rethink being a school librarian or even rethink speaking out against this censorship movement.
I love it. That makes me so happy to hear. And another question that I have for you as a school librarian is what would you say are the most loved books in your library that have stood the test of time? What are some books that kids always go to check out?
So our they love graphic novels in our school library. Graphic novels are key. And what I love about there's been a resurgence of the Babysitters Club graphic
Oh,
novels.
really?
Yeah, so like they love the Babysitters Club graphic novels. And as someone from who grew up in the 1900s, in
1900s.
the 1900s and the 80s and 90s with the original Babysitters Club that weren't the graphic novels, they were the originals. I love to see that, and so they love those. They love, Lauren Tarshiss's, the I Survived series.
Oh, that's a
Those
favorite
have
of
been
mine.
popular. Alan Grant's, Kwame Alexander, Jason Reynolds books, those are huge, huge books. I'm trying to think, and of course, Wings of Fire
Right.
series, Percy Jackson series, and anything by Rick Riordan, and so all of those are very popular.
So now it is time for some rapid fire questions. All right. These are very quick, so answer maybe one or two words, or maybe, I mean, as many words as you want, actually. Cats or dogs?
Dogs, but don't tell my cat.
I mean, I'm a cat person. I have a cat at home, so I won't let him
Love
hear.
my cat.
I'll
No, I
cover him.
love my cat, but I love my cat, but I am partial to dogs.
Yeah. All right. Favorite candy bar?
Reese's peanut butter cups
Awesome. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
to read minds.
Ooh, that's a good one. Texting or talking?
Texting.
Hmm. Would you rather read a physical book or an audiobook?
Physical,
What is your favorite childhood book?
otherwise known as Sheila the Great by Judy Blume.
Love it. Your favorite holiday?
Christmas. It's the presents.
So I one time went to a school, I asked this question and they got into a very heated debate. Apparently they had two different book clubs who fought each other about these two stories. Do you like Percy Jackson more or Harry Potter?
Percy Jackson.
Yes, 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 yes. If you had to read one genre for the rest of your life, which genre would you pick?
Historical fiction.
Ooh, same. That's a really good one. If books could talk, which book would you want to have a conversation with? Or I guess more specifically, a character you want to talk to?
I would well, if it was a book, I'd wanna have a conversation with An American Story by Kwame Alexander,
That's a great
but if
one.
it was a character, it would be Joe March from Little Women.
Ooh, that's a fantastic answer. All right, how many books are on your to be read list?
like 300. It just keeps I have piles and piles. I'm trying to get through them all.
Yeah, right. But after you read one book, there's like 20 more out that you want to read. It's a struggle. It is a struggle.
I will say I cannot wait to get J versus K by
Oh,
Kwame
I have that.
Alexander
I
and
have that. I love it.
do
It's a
you? I
amazing book.
cannot wait to see. I'm a huge fan of Jerry Craft and Kwame Alexander, so that's the one I am like looking forward to the most.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites for sure. All right. And finally, what are you currently reading?
Downloaded last night The People's History of the United States because I
Oh,
want to learn more about the history of our country.
that is a great answer. And now time for the final question, the question I ask everybody that I interview. If you could be or meet any literary character, it's kind of similar to the question to one of the rapid fire questions that I asked, but I guess sort of expand on it. What would you say to a character that you want to meet? And fictional or real, who would it be and why?
I would love to meet Hermione Granger.
You know,
um,
I would love to say that was like that's probably one of the most answered, like one of
is
the
it?
common answers.
I just think she's a strong female character.
She
And
is. She's
I,
amazing.
and she was leading the way and no one wanted to listen to her about a lot of things. Had they listened to her earlier, things might have been different. So
Yeah, that's
that's who I
true.
would want to meet.
Yeah, Hermione was so smart. She had all the answers, and they just didn't listen to her. I mean, Harry Potter would probably be two books if they just listened to Hermione Granger.
Yep.
But I mean, it's Harry Potter, so you can't just have two books. You gotta have 8 or 9 or 10, or however many they are. I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fan, so I'm more of a Percy Jackson guy. I'm not really sure how many books there are. But that is a long-winded response to your answer. And there you have it, everybody. This has been an amazing talk, Amanda. I love talking to other book lovers, love talking to school librarians, and it has been such an honor talking to you and learning about your journey and your literacy journey as a whole. It's just so inspiring for me as somebody who hopes to be an advocate like you when I grow up. I mean, I am one sort of right now, but I still want to.
You already are one. You are already an advocate. So you have to call yourself that already.
Okay, I will call myself that, but I want to take it to the next level. I want to be like you when I grew up. You are an amazing person, and I'm just so grateful for you. I'm grateful for the work that you've done. I'm grateful that you're here today speaking with me. I mean, I'm just so full of joy right now. I love talking to you.
It has been the pleasure has been all mine, and like I said, I'm a huge fan, and you are an
Thank you.
advocate, and you're so young, and so I am looking forward to see everything you do in your life because I think
Thank
I'm going to
you.
be hearing about you for decades now, so
Maybe.
decades to come. So, and thank you. The pleasure has been all mine.
Thank you. And we need more people like you in the world. We need more people like you speaking out for books, fighting for the freedom to read, fighting to end censorship, fighting to uplift and share stories of all kinds, whether diverse, whether with black characters, white characters, Jewish, LGBTQ, all different walks of life, all different cultures, all different ethnicities, all different clothes, all different ways of talking. It's just we need it all. We need it all, and you are an advocate for that. And everybody, this interview is hopefully not just a learning opportunity for all of you, but an opportunity to be inspired. Hopefully you feel motivated to go out and make a difference in your community, maybe even the country if you feel so comfortable as to do that. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, keep reading, spreading kindness, and fighting for the right to read, because that's our job, to protect others, to love others, because love thy neighbor as thyself. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.